Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. I'm your host, Austin.
And I am Jack Defer.
Jack Defer, how you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
Doing well as well. Doing all right. I've been doing a lot of house renovations the last couple days, painting and replacing mirrors and doing all that fun stuff. So,
how exciting!
Yeah, getting ready to. Well, both of us potentially getting ready to move. So
that is true. That is true. Well, let's see. Let's get started right off with the drink because I'm thirsty, boy.
Let's do it. You want to go ahead and tell the listeners what we're consuming tonight?
This is a new Monster Ultra flavor, and it is Ultra Strawberry Dreams. Very pink, and I gotta say, I love the artwork on it with like the skulls nice. With the strawberries coming out of them and whatnot.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I think it's quite neat. I gotta say, whoever they get to do the artwork for their cans it's great. It's great. All of them are just so like fun.
I like that they're all different, and yeah, it's pretty cool. This and the Ultra Fiesta with like the Day of the Dead stuff, those are the two coolest ones. But yeah, this one's nice. I'm excited. Pink, definitely very pink. But what do you think it's gonna taste like? Like I see this can and I think strawberries and cream.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know what I have in my mind is I don't know if you've ever had those like old lady candies that are like the wrappers look like strawberries.
Yep, those are the best.
I'm that's what I've got in my mind.
They're so freaking good. Should we read the description here?
Oh, please do.
It says, some people swear that strawberries are aphrodisiacs. They say if you share a double strawberry with someone, then they'll catch feelings for you. All we know is the flavor of the heart-shaped fruit is perfect for our new zero sugar ultra. Wonderfully sweet while slightly tart, this easy-drinking ultra tastes like a dream. Passionately crafted with the Monster Energy blend you crave, take one sip and you'll be crazy for ultra strawberry dreams. Unleash the beast. Let's dive right in. All right. They've gotten me convinced already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, got on my keyboard. No.
Oh, no.
Smells good.
That's not what I was expecting, honestly.
Not at all, but very delicious.
It is quite good. It's not as sweet as I was thinking it was going to be in my mind.
No, it's a little more very mellow and very smooth. Man, I like that a lot.
It's quite good. That might be a top 3 Monster flavor.
Ooh, yeah. Out of the Monsters, for sure. I'm going to give it like an 8 to an 8.5. I'll give it an 8.5.
I'm going to go flat 8.
Ooh, that's really good. Wow.
It's
highly
it's
recommend.
It's not, I was expecting like, bam, strawberry flavor, but like, it's not like a kick in the face. Have you had the new Dr. Pepper recently?
Which one? The cream soda one?
No, they've released a new one like a week or two ago or something like that called Strawberries and Cream.
Ooh.
And it's good, but like the strawberry flavor is like bang, that is strawberry. And then there's a little bit of Dr. Pepper flavor in there too.
Huh.
So I guess that's what I'm used to because that's what I've been drinking because we bought a 12-pack.
I'm not a huge Dr. Pepper fan in general.
Oh, you're a horrible person.
It's fine. It's barbecue soda, basically.
That's what root beer is.
Yeah, I like root beer better, though. Well, here's a good root beer is better than Dr. Pepper. There's some crappy root beers out there, but a really, really good root beer, I'd take over almost any other drink.
Good call.
Well, cool. Yeah, solid drink. Do recommend. Well, should we dive right into our episode today?
Absolutely. What are we looking at today so far?
Well, I've got a fun little story. A friend of mine, an acquaintance, really, told us this story a while ago, and it has to do with some interesting dreams.
Ooh.
So, my friend, I'll I'm not going to give his name out, but he used to have these dreams, not super frequently, but he started having these dreams where he'd see this man, and his name in the dream was Jack. So, man named Jack,
Ooh.
and this man named Jack would come and talk to him and like teach him how to do stuff. And so, like, one of the first things that he ever taught my friend how to do was like do this certain skateboard trick that he'd been trying for like months and just couldn't figure it out. And Jack in the dream showed him this trick, this weird little like tip to the trick of like, oh, you should do this. And so he tried it the next morning. He's like, I landed it the first time. It's the easiest thing ever. And he said at times when he really needed help, like he said one time he was like studying for a huge math test and he just like wasn't understanding it. And he had a dream and Jack came and like tutored him in math in his dream. And then he woke up the next day and he like understood it. And another one, like he got help on a bike trick one time, like doing a BMX trick or something. And so he would have all these different needs throughout. This happened over like probably 4 or 5 years, I think. And so he would have these needs in his life, and Jack would come and like teach him how to fill those needs or how to do something very specific. And he said that when like he knows what Jack looks like, but he can't like describe him, kind of like that weird thing where like you can picture him in your mind, but you just can't like really describe him from your dream, you know? But
Right.
he
Yeah.
said like if he saw him on the street, he would definitely know who he was. But kind of an interesting, like super interesting thing, all these recurring dreams of this man named Jack teaching him how to do stuff and like becoming a
Mm.
like a mentor for him basically. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Let's see. I'm wondering if that's a real thing. Like, I mean, a normal thing. Nope. Okay, it's not. I googled like, like being taught in dreams and then waking up with the information, but it didn't really bring up anything. It just bringing up a bunch of enter your dream and we'll tell you what it means stuff.
I I went to look up being taught through dreams, and as soon as I typed the D on dreams, it says being taught through Dr. Pepper, strawberries, and cream.
That's definitely a good teacher.
That's funny. No, have you ever had like a recurring dream that happens that's the same every single time though?
I don't think so, actually.
So I have this comical dream. Probably it's now probably like once every 6 to 12 months that I have it. I used to have it a lot more frequently, but it's only been happening over the past like 5 years. And it's this dream, you know, the carnival ride that spins you super fast and it like pushes
Oh,
you against the
jeez.
wall.
Yeah.
So I'm on that ride and it's like not started yet, but this man and this woman walk in with a table and a bowl of vanilla pudding. And they say, "All right, we're going to stick this table with the pudding like right in the middle of the ride here so that it stays right in the middle. It's like right in the center of all the centrifugal force so it doesn't move."
Uh-huh.
And apparently it's the world's best pudding. And so the
Oh,
deal is the ride starts, and if you can somehow get to the bowl of pudding first, then you win a lifetime supply of free best pudding in the world.
oh,
And so then they start the ride, and it's just an absolute freaking bloodbath of like people trying and then just getting thrown against the wall. And yeah,
jeez.
no one ever gets to the pudding. But that's my like weird recurring dream that I have, and it's the exact same every time. Who knows what it means? I don't know, but
Hmm.
yeah, dreams are weird.
Very. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't know. I'm not much of a dreamer, I guess. I have some, but they don't really mean anything to me or really resonate with me or stick with me. I usually forget them within an hour, kind of thing.
I
Maybe I
used
need a
to
dream journal.
I've been getting frustrated lately because I used to have tons of dreams and I would remember every single one of them up until a couple years ago. And now I can't remember. Like I'll wake up and I'll be like, that was a cool dream. I'm definitely going to remember it. And then like 5 minutes later, it's gone. But I have like hundreds of dreams from my childhood that I can just like remember so well.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
You
used to
know,
have tons of them.
it reminds me, actually thinking back on that being taught in dreams thing that you were talking about your buddy's buddy. That reminded me, I saw something once. Have you ever heard of acquired savant syndrome?
No.
It is the strangest thing I've ever heard of. And this could be an episode all by itself. But basically, the only thing I've heard of before, it's apparently happens a couple times, but like this guy got hit in the head or something. I don't remember, had an injury, but ended up being like in a coma for a little while, a really bad head injury. Finally woke up and started going back to his normal life. And then he saw a piano in like a mall or something, went to sit down, started playing, and he could play like a master basically. And he said he'd never touched a piano before that.
Really?
Yeah. And yeah, it's apparently a real thing. It's called acquired savant syndrome. It's
is it always after like some kind of brain
it's
injury?
The presentation of often extraordinary scholarly skills that can emerge after a non-disabled individual suffers traumatic brain injury.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Apparently, it's happened to people with math. Like they're just crazy good at math all of a sudden. So it's like, I don't know, knocking something in the brain like to think better. I have no idea, but it's kind of.
That's cool. Like, what does that say about the brain? Because they always say we only use like a small portion of our brain, you know?
Well, what that means is the information's already in there.
Right, yeah.
And they just accidentally accessed it.
I wonder how much of their coma they remember. That'd be interesting to see if they remember anything of like maybe they were taught by somebody, or you know, like maybe they were in their hospital room and their parents were watching a piano player on the TV and they somehow like heard that and took in the information. I don't know. But yeah, that information has to be in there somehow.
Yeah, his name is Derek Amato. It's a real person. You can look it up and read about him.
He's like the first Derek that comes up on Google. Wow. Maybe that's just because I searched savant syndrome, but
probably.
That's crazy.
At the age of 39, dove into a shallow swimming pool and hit his head, resulting in a major concussion and 35% hearing loss. But subsequently became a musical savant.
Dang.
And he's now a composer. Anyway. Again, that could be a whole episode of its own. I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole.
I would take that trade any day. 35% of my hearing for history of the piano.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That'd be sweet.
That's crazy, though. Yeah, we should do an episode on that.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Well, cool. I'll go ahead and get us started for the day, if that's all right with you. So I have a fun one that I've heard a lot about over many different encounters, or I guess dreams too. But the concept or legend of the Grinning Man, otherwise known as Indrid Cold, is his name. And so the Grinning Man first came into the public eye in 1966. So October 16th, to be precise, which happy anniversary to my wife. It's a good day. So October 16th, 1966, there were two boys. There was Martin Munov, I think is how you say it. Munov or Munyov or something. And James Yankaitis, that both lived in New Jersey, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, is where this happened. So one night, late at night, they're walking down a street and they see this figure standing near this fence that they're walking up to. And as they get closer, they can see that he's really tall, like 7 feet tall, or potentially even more, and that he's completely bald, and he's wearing what appears to be, it's a suit, but it appears to be like metallic, almost made out of like foil is what they said, but it was a green color, so like a metallic green. And he was staring at him, and they said he looked like a normal person other than his suit and his smile. So they said he had a huge, massive grin on his face. And this is where the term Grinning Man comes from. So the thing that they said that was kind of creepy was that his mouth smiles, but his eyes do not. So it's this huge, like cartoonish impossibly big grin. Like if you look at the guy behind me, kind of like that. Um, and so the man chases them until they get away from him. Or yeah, they run away and get away from him. But that same night, there were also some UFO sightings that were reported around the same area. And so, right around the same day, it was like just a few days or a couple weeks later, there was another sighting. And this was in Parkersburg, West Virginia, which oddly enough is right around the same area and the same time as Mothman. So that happened in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the mid 60s as well. It might have been even the same year, but a man named Woodrow Derenberger was driving home on I-77 one night and he heard this crash. And so he stops in the middle of the road and there's this vehicle. He can't identify it, but this vehicle comes down and lands in front of his truck. And he said that it looked like, if you know what those old time kerosene lamps look like, where they have like the fire burning in them and then they have kind of the glass like bottle looking shroud around them. So he said the vehicle looked like that shroud or chimney that you'd see on one of those lamps. That's how it was shaped. And so it kind of like came down and flared at both ends and then like moved up into this large middle section and then kind of got smaller at the top. And so then he said this vehicle comes and lands in front of him. So he stopped and then this man gets out and again, he describes the same like impossibly large grin on this man's face. And so this man's walking to him. He said the man had a really dark tan, like he'd been out in the sun for a while, not necessarily like sunburnt, but he had a nice tan. Maybe he's like a surfer dude or something. And so he comes up to his vehicle and he said that his mouth was smiling and he was talking to him somehow, but his mouth wasn't moving at all. He said it was him like speaking with him telepathically, basically. And so he said that this man comes up to his car, to his window. He's grinning at him, says his name is Indrid Cold, and that he said he meant them no harm. And so he's like weirded out, this man is standing next to his car. And so this is a direct quote from an interview with Derenberger, the man in the truck. So he said, he asked me to roll down the window on my right-hand side of my truck, and I'd done what he asked. And this man stood there, and he first asked me what I was called, and I know he meant my name, and I told him my name, and he asked me, he said, "Why are you frightened?" He said, "Don't be frightened. We wish you no harm." He said, "We mean you no harm. We wish you only happiness." And I told him my name, and when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. And so this man, Indrid Cold, comes to his window. And then after that, like, I don't know exactly what happened after that. I don't know if Indrid Cold just kind of disappeared or if they talked for a while. But he goes to the police. So this man goes to report to the police right after this happened. And so the police kind of go out and look for him and look for the signs of this craft, but they can't really find anything. So he did say that Indrid Cold told him he would visit him again, and then he saw him take off in the craft. So again, Point Pleasant, where Mothman occurred around the same time, is pretty much right next to where this happened. And so Derenberger and then a lot of people from Point Pleasant as well have all came out and claimed to have encounters with Indrid Cold. And so it became this thing, like within a couple days of Indrid Cold going to the police and this report being leaked out to media and the public, everyone was all abuzz with this news, and they're all kind of freaked out and excited about it. And Derenberger, the normal guy from the truck, he kept reporting that he was seeing Indrid Cold. And so Indrid Cold was periodically coming back and visiting him. Eventually his family also said yeah, we've seen him too. And so the public would always pass by Derenberger's house to try and see if they could see Indrid Cold. They would follow Derenberger around town and see if they could see him, and a lot of people claim that they did. But also around this time, some police officers that were in the area, they were out at an airport and they were kind of by an Air Force base there. And they said that right around the same time that Derenberger was talking with Indrid Cold for the first time, they saw like a car-size white light like shoot over their heads and go over the mountains. And then other cops from over the mountain also saw this white light, and they said that when it passed over their heads, it like basically blinded them. It was super bright. So right around the same time that he's talking to this guy, he flies away. 2 sets of police officers claim that they see the same white light. So a lot of other people over the years have also claimed to see what's known as the Grinning Man or Indrid Cold. He often appears during sleep paralysis encounters. So a lot of people will say that they see like a shadow demon. A lot of people will say that they see a Grinning Man, often also reported to have a hat. So the Hat Man is another really common like description of the Grinning Man, is that he has this certain hat that he's wearing a green metallic suit. And I don't think he's ever really attacked anybody or anything like that, but he's really creepy. And also what's weird is that it occurred right around the same time as the Mothman thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One other thing about the Derenberger account is that some of the police officers that saw the white light shoot overhead were by this explosives factory. And if you recall, the Mothman encounter also took place to an explosives factory. I don't know if it was the same one, but it was in the same area. So this explosives facility. So some people believe that the Grinning Man may be somehow tied into the Mothman legend, whether they're one and the same, whether they're working together or similar entities, something like that. Also, there is a lot of UFO sightings and encounters right around a lot of the reported Grinning Man encounters. And so a lot of people think that maybe he's an alien of some kind. And then a lot of other people think that maybe he's one of the Men in Black. So
yeah, I've heard that one.
Some of the descriptions of him where he's bald, has like a weird kind of face. Like a lot of the Men in Black are described as having like weird skin on their faces. Like they just don't look quite human. And that's kind of how the Grinning Man is. He has some inhuman features to him. And so there's a lot of theories, right, of like how he came about or what he is exactly. But a lot of people also, he's one of the entities that a lot of people will see while they're doing like DMT or other hallucinogenic drugs, is they'll see the Grinning Man or the Hat Man.
That's horrifying.
And so, there is this kind of creepy connotation to him, right? Because he has this really big grin, like inhuman grin. Sometimes he'll chase people or like kind of antagonize them a little bit or try to talk to them, which I can't even imagine if some crazy man just like came up to my car and was like, "Hey, what's your name? I'm Indrid Cold and I have this massive huge grin that takes up my entire face. How are you doing?" Like, I can't even imagine. Like that.
And talking to you telepathically.
Yeah. Like, I would drive away. Here's the thing. I don't know how Derenberger didn't just like hit the gas and peel out of there.
Roll down your window. At that point, I'd be like, no, thank you, bye.
Yeah.
Like,
have a nice day. Yeah. There were
there are a few other accounts I've actually heard of about Mr. Cold himself.
Well, take it away.
We may not have time for the second topic after all. Maybe we'll see.
We can save that.
I heard 2 other encounters of Mr. Grinning Man himself, and one was a small kid. Let's see, what was his name? I think it was a little boy or a little girl. I can't remember. It was a little girl, Linda Lilly, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Now, for weeks beforehand, this family had been reporting poltergeist activity in their home and seeing things such as diamond-shaped lights. And they would say things have been moved in their home. They'd see weird lights, orbs, that kind of stuff. And they could never figure it out. There was like nothing bad happening, like, demons or people getting hurt or that kind of stuff, but always just weird things happening. Then one night, Linda, the little girl, comes into her parents' room while they're sleeping and wakes them up and says that she saw somebody in her room. And she said, it was a man, a big man, very broad. I couldn't see his face very well, but I could see that he was grinning at me. He walked around the bed and stood right over me. I screamed and hid under the covers, and when I looked again, he was gone. And then ever since that night, they never had another poltergeist-like activity again. So, I don't know. It seems interesting that he doesn't seem to want to harm. Because, I mean, he did say, I mean, no harm, and he didn't hurt the little girl. And when he was talking to, what's his face?
Darren Berger.
Yeah, Darren Berger. Sorry, I couldn't remember that ridiculous last name. He did say that the man asked him that he just wanted to know more about the human race. So perhaps it was a scout mission of sorts to just learn or whatever. I don't know.
Interesting.
And then the other encounter that I had heard was a woman, well, it was as a couple, and they were going to bed, and this woman had a maybe, I don't know what to call it, OCD, but a routine of closing all the blinds at night. And she made sure she closed all the blinds like she does every single night. But then she woke up in the middle of the night and in a sleep paralysis state. And this was the 60s, I believe. So she, that sleep paralysis was not a well-known thing. So she kind of started freaking out. And then she looked over and realized that the blinds were open, or the curtains, or whatever they were. And that scared her more than anything, because she knew that she would had to close them, and that she does every single night. And then after a minute, she realized that there was a man on the other side of the window looking in at her and grinning with a huge grin. And that at one point she actually started levitating and being kind of sucked tractor beam towards the grinning man.
Ooh.
At that point, she says she passed out and then woke up in her bed as if nothing had happened. Now she went, okay, that was just a horrible dream. Her husband was still asleep. She turned over and the blinds were open. So that was her thing going, okay, that wasn't a dream, because I know I closed those blinds or curtains or whatever, and they're open now.
Interesting.
So, not sure what that was about. The little levitating thing was a little weird, but
yeah, that is strange. But
so
it does like mimic an alien, though, right? Like that mirrors kind of like an alien abducting somebody, which is probably the most common theory. What he is an alien. So yeah, that would make sense, I guess, that he may have the power to do that.
I guess. And then there was something else I wanted to bring up that I was wondering about. And I totally forgot what it was. Oh, right here. After the encounter, Darren Berger stated that Cold revealed he was from the planet Lanulos in the galaxy of Medes. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I remember hearing that like on another podcast or something. But I don't know much about like his planet or anything. But like you said, he said he was here to study the human race, and I can't imagine myself just going, if I were going to go on a scouting mission to another planet, just like dropping in the middle of a street and then walking up to some guy and be like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? I'm Austin. Like, I want to know more about you. How, like, what's up?
And
Wouldn't
then
you be a
fly
little bit
away.
more, like, inconspicuous about it?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe they'd come from a very peaceful utopia where everyone's smiling and happy. So there's no need for fear or whatever. So they don't know what that is.
Maybe.
Well, no, he does know what it is. He said, "Why are you afraid?"
Here's a thought that I had though is so he's seen around similar times to the Mothman in a very similar place, almost the same place and same time. Seen around an explosives plant.
As was Mothman around that same explosives plant.
Yep. And also, like, I remember when we talked about Mothman, one of the big things was like, is he evil or was he actually like there to save people? Because one of the things he did was at that bridge collapse, he was seen at the bridge collapse. He was supposedly seen at 9/11. So a lot of people think that he's evil and is causing all this bad stuff. But then other people were like, no, he's some benevolent creature that's there to like save people.
You remember the mine collapsing we talked about in the Mothman episode?
Yeah.
I think like he appeared and then the mine collapsed like right after everyone left and got out.
Right. But they came out because he was sighted though, right? Like
I think so. I'm not 100% because it's been a while. Mothman mine.
Let's see.
Lucky Hole Mine. Is that it?
So September 10th, 1978, a group of miners in Germany see a creature that fits the Mothman criteria, piercing red eyes. Let's see. They said the creature let out a howl that sent those in the mine running out in terror.
Oh, that's
later,
right.
The miners reported to see a huge plume of dust, feeling a rumble, and then the mine collapsed.
That's right.
So it did save the lives of tons of people. But they were freaked out by it. And so that's the question to me with the Grinning Man is he's not as directly associated with like catastrophic events as the Mothman, but is he evil? Is he good? Like no one really knows, right? And that's what I'm curious about is like, what else is he here to do? Because it seems like there's a strong tie to the Mothman. Place, time, exact location. Like, who knows? But that's what's interesting to me is like, is he evil? Is he good? No one knows, but everyone's scared of him.
I'm wondering if maybe it's just some guy who, I don't know, just doing whatever he wants. You know, if he knows people are in trouble, he's like, hey, I actually could do something about that. And maybe he's just like, hey, I feel like flying over the city tonight and just kind of, freaking people out. He's just shenaniganizing.
Yep.
Shenaniganizing.
Yep.
Also, another thing about the Grinning Man is that many UFO abductees claim to have seen a man grinning at them during their abductions. So, I don't know if that is anything to go off of there, but I mean, terrifying.
Mothman, aliens, everything. He's everything.
Men in Black.
He's all of it. But so it is like the Grinning Man was a musical that was actually based off of a book. So somebody wrote a musical called The Grinning Man.
Oh,
and
is it about this guy or is it something completely different?
So it's a little bit different. So there was a book that was actually written in like the late 1960s. I want to say it was called The Man Who Grins or The Man Who Laughs. That's what it's called. Let me look it up real quick because I want to make sure I'm getting this right.
Man Who Laughs? 1928 film?
So there's a film based on the book. So there was a book written in 1869, and it's based on this person who his dad was like royalty or nobility or something like that, and he was orphaned as a child. So he's captured by some like criminals, and they use a knife to carve his face into like a huge grin, kind of like the Joker, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But if you look up the Grinning Man musical, like there's a picture of what their depiction is of the Grinning Man, like his face being cut. Um, and it's kind of creepy. Like it's this massive mouth with blood all over it. But that's the story.
Ew.
Is it's this kid who was orphaned and kidnapped, and then these criminals like disfigured him, and he became known as the Man Who Laughs, or the Grinning Man, or the Smiling Man. And so, who knows if that story's true? I didn't, ever find if the book was based on a true story. But there was a book and a movie and a musical written about it. And so maybe it was based upon a true story, and there's some guy still out there who's still living that was disfigured by criminals or something. I don't know. But the legend's been around for a while, at least in book and movie form, to a similar extent. So it's not anything new, or at least within the past like 50 years, 60 years. So it's an older legend, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Something interesting. You said the Man Who Laughs. I wonder if that is any inspiration towards. This is going to be a total nerd moment, but there's a comic about Batman and the different types of Batmans there are in different universes. Anyway, there's one called The Batman Who Laughs. That name's just way too similar.
The Batman Who Laughs?
Yeah, it's a version of Batman who kills the Joker and ends up basically becoming a Joker Batman hybrid. It's quite interesting, actually. But anyway, this is not a comic book podcast.
Well, speaking of Batman, the Joker, so I mentioned his grin, he's actually based off of the actor that played in the movie The Man Who Laughs.
Really?
In 1929. So, yep, or 20, like late 20s. So they based the Joker's appearance and design and his like trademark big huge grin off of the movie The Man Who Laughs, that was based off of the book The Man Who Laughs. So there's a lot of like parallels within pop culture for it, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, the Joker is kind of what I would envision he looks like, because he's always wearing a suit. He's like,
yeah, that's true.
disheveled. He's got like human-like features, but he doesn't look necessarily normal, or he kind of looks different, like very different,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of what I think of him as. I think.
So what do you think?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, okay. I already forgot what I was going to say. Oh. What do you think is the Grinning Man? What is he? Like, do you think he's an alien? Do you think he's just another human? Do you think he is Mothman? Do you think he's a Men in Black? Government experiment?
Good question.
Is he even real? Do you think he's real?
I think that there are so many encounters with him that it's hard to say that he's not real, but whether he is otherworldly, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because there's so many different like theories on it. I would assume that if he exists, that, goodness, what do I believe? I think he's more like one of those entities like from a different dimension that you see like when you're on drugs or when you're dreaming. Like I think he exists in that realm, but not necessarily in our realm, which doesn't mean that he doesn't exist, right? He could be very real, but I don't necessarily think he exists within our realm. I think he's part of another dimension or something like that, because a lot of people that claim they dream about him, like when you dream, your brain releases DMT. And so it's similar to like taking a DMT trip. Obviously not on the same level, but like people claim to see him when they're on DMT or a similar entity. Really? Yep. People like the Hat Man or the Grinning Man, people see him when they're dreaming. And so a lot of these encounters where like people are waking up or something like that, like in my eyes, it's something to do with like accessing that other realm, whether through dreams or DMT or whatever it may be. But apart from the encounters, like maybe he crossed over into our realm when he saw those two kids in the street in Jersey, or saw Darren Berger. Like, I don't know, but I think he exists in some other dimension personally.
All right. I accept that answer.
What's your theory?
I think the one that makes most sense to me is a Men in Black type thing. because the Men in Black are, I mean, pretty similar, right? They're always wearing
Yeah.
suits. They look like they're basically uncanny, like they're human, but like there's something off about them. Let me see. No, not the movie Men in Black.
Have you seen the one from, is it Niagara Falls, where they have the footage of the two men walking into this hotel at Niagara Falls? Let me share my screen so you can see this picture, because it is very uncanny. And it's creepy.
It sounds familiar, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Let me stream real quick and you can see this, because this is similar to what I think of. Is this picture right here? I don't know how well you can see it.
Oh yeah.
But this is footage from, can you still see it?
Yep.
So this is footage from Niagara Falls, like the day after a UFO was seen. And these men came into the hotel or something there. So this is actually an episode that I'd love to do and cover this specific encounter. But yeah, like it's that uncanny valley, like weird, almost human enough to be like, yeah, that's a human, but something's off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's disturbing looking. I don't like their faces. They
But the suit and then the baldness, like, well, so Derenberger claimed that he had hair, but the kids claimed that he was bald, and a lot of people claim that he was bald. So there are some conflicting descriptions of him, but
yeah,
a lot of similarities too. And so I actually do like the Men in Black tie as well, because who knows, like, if Men in Black, since they're so uncanny, like, are they aliens that we've captured to then, like, or are they aliens that are helping us to hide the existence of aliens, you know? Something like that.
Yeah. The reason I think that is because A, they have similar, visual, physical qualities, and B, many, like I said before, many UFO people who claim to have been captured by aliens or probed or whatever have also claimed that either they were shortly thereafter visited by the Grinning Man or saw him aboard or saw him in a dream kind of thing. So, I don't know, maybe he's a Man in Black gone rogue or something like that. Who knows? That's the way I'm leaning, though.
I like that. I can respect that. And I like that theory a lot. That would be probably like one of my top 2 theories as well. So, again, aliens, I think that ties in with the Men in Black. Like I said previously, like if he is an alien, maybe he was captured and now is a Man in Black or something. But definitely
Perhaps
a creepy one, and I hope that I never encounter him.
Yeah, please don't let me encounter this man. I will not do very well if like, this guy's just like, oh yeah, he came and visited me and I rolled down the window, and I'm just like, what the heck? Like, if someone descended upon me in a vehicle I do not know, looked like that, and then asked me to roll down my window, I guess the 60s were a different time, but still, I'd be like, yeah, no, I am out, my guy.
When did John Denver write Country Roads? Because that took place in West Virginia.
Uh-oh.
Take Me Home, Mountain Mama. Maybe he's the Mountain Mama. I don't know.
Mountain Mama.
But yeah, don't go to West Virginia. There's some weird stuff that happens there.
Sorry, West Virginians. Well, that'll be a fun urban legend episode then.
Yeah. It's written in 1971, so after all this happened, but yeah, so kind of fun. And there is an interview with Woodrow Derenberger out there. I'll post it in the show notes, but it's an actual interview of him telling the story on live TV. So he agreed to do, he agreed to do the interview on live TV. And that's where the quote that I read actually came from. So I'll post that interview. It's like 30 minutes long in the show notes. But one last thing I wanted to say with regards to Derenberger is he didn't ever gain anything from telling this story. So that's another compelling thing to me, that it happened, was one, the number of encounters, but also two, his story. Like, he never gained fame or notoriety. He didn't write a like I think he did write a book, but I don't think he ever gained like monetary gain from this at all. And I don't know that he necessarily wanted to, but that's always a sign to me. Like, if you're not actually doing it for money, then why would you come out and tell the story, you know?
Yeah.
And then the kids too. So the two kids in Jersey, they were actually separated because they went and gave their reports, but they were actually separated and interviewed by the police, and their encounters were completely identical. And so that's
they'd separate them on purpose and make sure their stories weren't fabricated.
Yeah. So that's another like credit to the story, is that two kids, you know.
And the little girl that I talked about, it's not like she would be watching the news. It didn't have her exact age, but it does say young daughter. So I'm scared of monsters hiding under the sheets. I'm guessing 12 or under. So what are the likelihoods of her knowing about it? Yeah, I could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
Research.
So her name was Lily. Lily, what was her last name again?
Her last name was Lily.
Okay.
It was like Lauren Lily or something like that.
Let's see. Linda Lily.
Linda Lily.
Yeah, I do wonder how old she was. But kids, I don't feel like little kids have that concept of like, obviously they like to get attention, but I don't know that they would tell a story like that, like a terrifying story, just to get attention. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, we'll post. We'll post the interview with Darren Berger to the show notes, and post some fun pictures of the Grinning Man.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? We are at about 47 minutes.
I think that's pretty good. I have a short episode today, just by a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, I think it was a good one.
Definitely. Let's see. Yeah, no, I can't find an age, which is maybe something to be skeptical about if, none of these websites have like an age or anything. Maybe, well, it was the 60s. Who was keeping track? I don't know. But let's see. Yeah, and the parents also were interviewed and said that they've been seeing strange things: blue lights, green lights, red lights, things that change color. They heard things like baby crying throughout the inside of the home. It seemed to come from only a few feet away, but there were no babies in the home and she never saw anything. So, I mean, the parents also claim, this paranormal activity beforehand, and then it stopped all of a sudden. That's interesting to me, is why was there paranormal activity beforehand? But
right,
you may never know.
Well, then why did it just stop once he was seen? Because
he left. I think he was there watching, studying, maybe, and then made himself known and went, crap, I've been seen. I gotta leave. I don't know. Maybe he learned everything he could. He's just like, I want to scare this little girl before we go.
Yeah, interesting. But very cool. And if you have any other information on the Grinning Man, or you've seen him on one of your DMT trips or something, I should ask my cousin, because he likes the psychedelics, and so I should ask if he's ever seen anything like that before.
Interesting. There is that belief that aren't like psychedelics, like some people believe that psychedelics, like they don't make your brain trip out. They like actually connect you to like a higher force or something like that, and that's what the trip is. What we call a trip is actually like you connecting to like heaven or another dimension, or things like that. So that's an interesting theory. That would be crazy if that were true.
Yeah, I think if you think of, in a religious context, like the veil that's placed over our eyes and minds when we come to Earth, like drugs help open your brain so that you can kind of see past that, I guess, or that it lifts that a little bit and you're able to see more than what we can see with our human eyes. So yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like, it opens up your mind to new dimensions and new realities, which I've actually recently been researching psychedelic use for cures of depression and anxiety and PTSD and stuff. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast with the guy that talks about it. And one of the reasons that they use psychedelics for treating PTSD and depression is that it's like with those disorders, your mind gets stuck thinking like in a thought loop of thinking certain things all the time. And that's why you're depressed, because you keep thinking of bad thoughts, right? Or you just get stuck in this thought loop and you can't get out of it. And so psychedelics, they open up your brain and allow you to see new things, and they let like new ways of thinking come to your brain. And so it helps break you out of that like traditional thought process that you've learned to just like fall into. And so, yeah, the best way I can describe it is, without having ever done it, is that it opens your mind. Like it really just opens your mind to new possibilities, and kind of like, I would say, blows your mind, like with what you see.
Yeah.
You know, everything that you think is real, there's so much more than that. So I'm going to reach out to my cousin, and I wonder if he ever has had an experience, because I know he's done psychedelics. I wonder if he'd give us like a personal encounter or something.
I thought you were going to say, I wonder if you'd give us some. Like next week, instead of monsters, we're doing mushrooms before the episode starts.
Tangent on location in an alternate dimension. Yep.
We got to move to like Oregon, Washington or whatever.
Everything's legal there, so we can
decriminalize
just do whatever we want,
and then do one episode, just zoot it out of our minds, just and see how that does.
Do every possible thing we can do within a day. You know, if I were ever to take any kind of drug, it would be some kind of psychedelic, like a mushroom or something like that, because everyone's encounters are just so cool to me. Like, some of them are weird. Mushrooms, like I had a friend, one of my best friends, one night right after high school, he calls me at like 2 a.m. and he's like, "Can you come get me? I took some mushrooms," and apparently he like saw Bigfoot and went like on an adventure with Bigfoot out in the middle of a field. And he calls me at like 2 a.m. He was butt naked out in a field.
Are you serious?
Didn't have any clothes with him, but he had his phone and he had a hat on. And he's like, "I need you to come pick me up. I don't know how I got out here." So I like took him some clothes and went and picked him up in the middle of this field. But I'm like, those encounters are a little weird. Like, I don't want that to happen to me, but
I do not want to do that.
I would love to do like an ayahuasca trip or something like that, where you just like, your mind is opened, you know?
Yeah, just whatever. Cool. Well, let us know if you know anything about the Grinning Man or Men in Black or anything of that nature. Men in Black is an episode that we will be doing at some point in the future, I am sure.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, let us know of any other fun time mysteries that you would like to hear about.
Well, thanks for listening, and we appreciate the love and support. And you guys have yourself a wonderful day.
Stay classy.